And we are live here on the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey, producer Chris, once again, behind the scenes, behind the, control panel. I was going to say camera, but you're technically off the side of the camera there. This season, we will be live, outside of adjustments made for, games, like when there's Sunday football. We'll be live on Mondays and on Thursdays for the Cowboys Report, so make sure you guys are tuned in. That is exciting. What is not exciting is the unfortunate news that came across the wire earlier today. Cowboys' longtime executive Gil Brandt has passed away at the age of 91, the NFL Hall of Famer. To put it in perspective, how long Gil... Actually, let me make sure I get this right before I say it off there. But Gil Brandt had been involved with the Cowboys organization for a very, very long time. We're talking about dating well before the Jerry Jones era, dating into it as well. I believe the stat that I saw, which I can't find it anymore, but I'm pretty sure the first pick that Gil Brandt was involved in with the Dallas Cowboys was Bob Lilly. The last one was Troy Aikman. So that's about as wide as you can go in terms of a career. He's a well-deserved Hall of Famer. So I already see a bunch of RIPs in the comment section. I think that's spot on. A true game changer in the sport of football, dead at the age of 81. We'll move to something a little bit more lighthearted, not nearly as sad as Gil Brandt passing away. Predict the Cowboys record for me in 2023. I will give some shout-outs here on the show as your comments come in. Z-Stead Official, the first one, got the lowest latency, I guess, says 13-4. Daniel says 13-4, 12-5, 14-3, 13-4, 15-0. The math ain't math in there, Micah Parsons fan. You're missing 2 games. Maybe he means 15-0, and then they've locked everything, so they just sit the starters after that. Okay. 11-6, hard schedule. It is a tougher schedule, especially early on. Earlier on, this schedule is not that easy. 13-4, 11-6, 14-3, 13-4, 12-5, 11-6, 14-3, 12-5, 13-4, 11-6, 11-6, 14-3, 13-4. 170? I think you mean 17-0. Not sure. There it is. He did clarify 17-0. That's Jermaine Burke. 13-4, 14-3, 21-0, winning the Pro Bowl as well. I love it. They won't even be at the Pro Bowl in that scenario. But I love the attitude there. 14-3, 11-6, 14-3, 13-0. Another 14-0. So there's the math ain't mathing on some of these here. 13-4, 12-5, 13-0, 13-4. So plenty of similar ranges between that 10 to 13 for the most part in terms of the expectations this coming season for the Dallas Cowboys. 11-6, 3 more, 13, 4 more, 13-4, 5 more, 13-4s. Couldn't even get through it there. Keep the comments coming. A $5 super chat from Marcus Arnold. Why keep Nashawn Wright over Isaiah Land? Not quite a one-to-one comparison, since Wright is going to begin the year on injured reserve, missed at least the first 4 games. Although you could have just done what you did with Josh Ball and put him on IR for the season. Big reasoning why, I think, is the Cowboys did not love their corner depth. It was a real issue for them last year. That's why they made the trade for Noah Igbinoghene. And then they have edges. I would have found a way to keep Isaiah Land. Frankly, I would have even cut a Hunter Lipke or Jalen Brooks over Isaiah Land, although draft picks often get claimed, so I don't know if you've been able to keep Brooks, frankly, but I would have found a way to keep him. I'm pretty disappointed on that front. From Mark, a $5 super chat. This is why we are the Clown Show. We do a bunch of good moves at the cornerback signing, then do nothing to address the O-line except late round guard, 0 backups. I am optimistic about Awesome Richards, who was your 5th round pick. I think play tackle or guard. And UDFA TJ Bass has been pretty nice. I think the biggest issue the Cowboys ran into, and it is less of a in the past month issue, and more of a you made this bed 5 months ago, you didn't address the offensive line. I think the Cowboys thought that Matt Farniok was going to have a big-time breakout season. And he was so disappointing in the preseason, they just straight up cut him. And he has not found a team yet as of filming. I'll check and see if that's changed in the last 5 minutes, but there has been no buzz around Matt Farniok there. So I am disappointed over the lack of offensive line additions. I would feel a lot better about this team if Chuma Edoga was offensive lineman 8, Bass was, or 9 for Edoga, Bass was 8, Richards was 7, and you had somebody better at the 6th spot, which, to be fair, most teams don't have good offensive line depth, which is why I would have prioritized it. All right, the pinned poll today is, will the Cowboys win the NFC East? Y for yes, N for no. It's 91% on the yeses side, which I can't say I'm terribly surprised from that perspective. Julian, TKG, Alexander, Dorian, Jamie, Sack, Lance Dunbar is the Exterminator, TKG, Vincent, Ken, David, Rage, Luis, Freestyle, Zachary, Jerry, all typing in their Ys for yes. 91% from that perspective. Keep those votes coming. Some more Super Chats. When the Super Chats come in, we hit them, baby. From Mark again. There was the undrafted linebacker, ton of sacks in college, re-released. Do you know anything about that? Name was Casey. He was really hyped up. That is Isaiah Land. Cowboys released him. And this also ties into Leroy Pearson Super Chat, so we'll merge these together here. The Colts did claim him off of waivers. The Colts had a pretty high priority, and they poached the Cowboys edge rusher. Now, Leroy asked, can Dallas poach Isaiah Land from the Colts practice squad at some point before he's added to the roster? That is a path that they are able to do. If, hypothetical, Dante Fowler, knock on wood, hopefully he doesn't, of course, gets hurt, sorry. Isaiah Land is on the Colts active roster. My bad. I totally misread the question there and what the situation was. Land is on the Colts active roster, so they cannot. Now, example would be like if you want to go get Jabril Cox from the Commanders practice squad, if you get a linebacker hurt, that's fine. But because Isaiah Land is already on the active roster for Indy, you can only trade for him. Another $5 Super Chat from Marcus Arnold. Is it just me, or is the league as a whole coming up short on offensive line depth? Not much depth past starters on all 32 teams. It is not just you, Marcus. You have nailed that. Offensive line depth in the NFL is really bad. I don't think it's that well coached at the collegiate level. Development is much harder than for other spots for whatever reason. Yeah, offensive line depth is pretty poor. You know, if you have 6 starting caliber offensive linemen, you've got some of the best in the NFL. There's like maybe 3 or 4 teams that are like, yeah, if we lose a starter, we're still in great shape. And if we lose 2, our season's not over. There's very few teams who have immense confidence in their depth, which is why I would make it such a priority. From the great Duke Bothers, is there a player on the current roster that you could not afford to lose? Offensive line doesn't count. That's too obvious. That's fair. I still think, I'm answering this from hey, you're trying to win games right now. Quarterback, I think, is on that for almost every team, outside of a few exceptions. I think Micah Parsons is a big one for you. I think CeeDee Lamb is a big one for you as well. If you lose CeeDee Lamb, I feel better than what I did last year about it, if that was the scenario. But that's your number one receiver. Everyone else is kind of a 2 from that perspective. So Micah, I think, is the first answer to this question. It's a good one, though. Great. I appreciate that. We will spend some time on free agents in today's show. Players the Cowboys could choose to add, either from a practice squad. We're not going to count former Cowboys, so I'm not putting Jabril Cox on there. Although I wanted to squeeze in another Cox out. He's with the Commanders now. I'm very sad. But he wanted to get a new start. I get it. I don't hold that against him. Name a free agent you guys want to sign. By the way, Luis mentions Leighton Vander Esch, and a player you can't afford to lose. Underrated good answer in terms of the lack of depth and the green dot calling the plays that you have. I see Deion Jones asking about Isaac Alarcon. Cowboys practice squad is filled, so that's not a very good thing. Dalton Reisner, Deion Jones, Jalen Smith, and a Ryan Nall, which I find quite funny. Another $5 Super Chat from Mark. The injured Denver guard, that's Dalton Reisner. Is he that bad off we don't sign him? The O-line will be our downfall. Tyron will get injured, and not one backup looks serviceable. I saw some good stuff from Austin Richards, but he's also a fifth-round pick, so that kind of scares me of banking on him. Although you're due to hit on a backup O-line pick at some point. Something's up with Dalton Risner. He shouldn't have been. We made the comments about how bad offensive line play is the NFL. Risner should have been signed. So whether it's medical, the shoving match he got into along the sidelines last year, just his down play, contract demands, whatever it is, or demanding a starting spot maybe, something's up with Risner that has led to him not being signed at this point. Ajay Pawar, $5. Who is more important to the Cowboys, Micah Parsons or Dak Prescott? Outside of like maybe 5 or 10 teams, I take your starting quarterback over your backup edge rusher. Like, I know the Cooper Rush did his job well as a backup QB. The offense scoring was literally 2 touchdowns per game difference. All right, the Cowboys have averaged over almost 30 points per game the last 3 years when Dak has been healthy. That's tops in the NFL, by the way. And with Rush in there, they're averaging about 18. So that's a pretty stark difference there. Now, relative to their position, Micah's better than Dak. In just overall talent, Micah's better than Dak. But in importance, because of the quarterback position, it always goes to that area. So importance, I'm going with Dak because he plays quarterback. Better player, though, is unquestionably, for me at least, Micah Parsons. For Mark, why did we release Isaiah Land? Thought he was a steal. Dallas thought they had enough edge rushers. They thought they could get Land to the practice squad, which normally you can. That didn't happen on that front. Not the move I would have made. To be fair, at the same time, play devil's advocate, the last time the Cowboys regretted losing a player on waivers was Matt Moore in like 2007. So it's been a while. All right, back to this question. Free agents you want to sign. Someone said Andrew Luck. We're doing Andrew Luck bits again. He's retired. Have you seen Andrew Luck since he retired, by the way, Producer Chris? Dude's lost all the weight. It almost looks like unhealthy with like the amount of weight he's lost. It is healthy, but it looks weird. AJ Cann for depth, not a terrible idea. Jake Delhomme. Daylight come, and you got to Delhomme. Danny Amendola. Now we're just naming dark horse Cowboys legends. Dalton Risner. Darius Rush, the Chiefs claimed him. So I was surprised no one else claimed him. That was you made the trade for Ibignogany, so you kind of didn't need the depth there, but I would have been on board with that one there. And maybe I would take him over Eric Scott, which I think the Cowboys probably would have. Who knows? Jason Peters, Dalton Risner, Nicholas Morrow make the most sense. All right, folks, we have 500-plus people watching live on the Cowboys Report. Producer Chris says the show will not start until we get to 200 likes. That's not even 50% of the live show. That's a fraction of it. So like the video. As I hydrate here. We just passed 100. We're asking for a fifth of you who haven't already done so to like the video. Very achievable numbers if everyone simply does it right now. Good likes to start. I appreciate the number being higher, but it is easy. It is simple. Not everyone can super chat. We, of course, appreciate everyone who does. But liking the video is a simple and easy way to also help us out there. We're at 150. I feel good about our chances there, Producer Chris. I feel good about our chances. Toxic Tom Downey says, what's in it for me if I like it? My undying respect. I really can't give out anything else there. But it does help us grow. It tells YouTube that you like what we're doing, and therefore it's going to get shown to more people in the process. So we continue to grow. We've had, as we'll mention in a little bit here, most subs gained this month at the company. Barely ahead of the Raiders. Make sure that stays the same there. So let's keep that upward trend going. Built the new studio pretty much just for the Cowboys Report here. So keep the likes coming. We're at 183. We'll revisit after this super chat from Mark. This is Tom. How's the family? Chugs and your liver. Liver's fine. I went to the doctor for the first time in a long time, and they're like, everything looks good. I'm like, great. Was worried about the liver side of it, to be quite honest. Which, and funny, I also drank outside of work, which I don't normally do. I did that the other night. I just had like some wine and some beer, and then I woke up the next morning, I had a headache. I'm like, what the f is this? Because it was a Wednesday. I never drink on a Wednesday night. That's why I think it killed me. So, family's doing great. Chugs, I think, is doing fine. You know, he's Chugs. So, appreciate that, Mark. You are very kind. 2 likes away. I think we'll get there. Here's what's coming up on today's live edition of the Cowboys Report. News, rumors, injuries, practice squad finalized. We'll break all that down. Schedule prediction video. You know, we'll go game by game, predict the Cowboys record with some scores. I've made some adjustments since we did that immediately following the draft. A Cowboys mailbag. Get your questions in using hashtag Cowboys or via Super Chat. Free agent targets and some practice squad names to monitor as well. Another Super Chat from Mark says, you're young. I'm 30 now, which I've always joked 30 means you're old, so I guess I'm old now. Chris is the young guy here now. Says, best to you and your staff. Thank you, Mark. I really do appreciate that. Cheers to you, my friend. We got to 200 likes. The show can get set up here as we're going to break down everything going on around the Dallas Cowboys live here on the Cowboys Report. Here's what's coming up on today's show. ESPN's Mike Greenberg doing some silliness when it comes to Matthew Stafford somehow. Cowboys injury news and updates with Week 1 around the corner. The full Cowboys practice squad has been announced. We'll break it down. Also going to revisit the 2021 Cowboys draft class and number changes for America's team. But first, we are in a sub-battle this month against the Raiders Report. The Cowboys Report and the Raiders Report have had the most subs gained this month across the company here at Chat Sports. We have a narrow lead over the Raiders entering the final day of August. Help make sure that we win that battle by subscribing right now. In exchange, you will get free Cowboys videos every single day. Let's begin with a, I don't even know what to call it, weird, dumb story from ESPN. Mike Greenberg, as the talking head shows, can't resist talking about the Cowboys. They have to do it. It's the only way that they can get views. He says the Cowboys could move on from Dak and trade for Matthew Stafford. Then Matthew Stafford, just like Aaron Rodgers, could mentor Trey Lance / Zach Wilson, because that's why the Jets did that trade. Definitely wasn't because their quarterback sucked. Bad analogy as far as I'm concerned. There's a lot of reasons why I think this is dumb, but first, the overall pitch from Greeny. I could easily see a world where in a year from today, Dak Prescott is way better off being the quarterback in Tampa, Minnesota, or Denver, where they really want him. And Matthew Stafford is the starting quarterback for his hometown Dallas Cowboys. Here we go again and Greenberg pitched this as like, hey, I wouldn't do it, but Dallas might. No, Greeny, own it. You're generating controversy. That is what you are doing. To put it in perspective, how dumb this idea was, you guys know there's no love lost between this fan base and Dan Orlovsky. Orlovsky hated this idea. He was just like, no. He kept saying it's August. And he's right. It is August. We have football a week away, and we're talking about a hypothetical move that doesn't actually make sense a year from now. What are we doing here outside of slapping Cowboys trade Dak into headlines to try to get some clicks out of it? I am begging the talking head shows to talk about stuff that matters. Talk about football. They actually have good, insightful analysis on there, and they consistently appeal to the lowest denominator of, well, what about trading Dak? There's a lot of reasons why this is dumb. Is Stafford actually good right now? Like, he's coming off injury there. Does having a different mentor actually make sense for Trey Lance? And, like, is it a downgrade at quarterback? Does it make sense? And the money is also a big factor here. The Rams lose $6 million if they trade Matthew Stafford before June 1st, on top of his, like, $30 million cap hit, by the way. They would save 31 after June 1st. Go tell me the last time a post-June 1st trade for a quarterback happened. Cowboys would owe $31 million. They would be either losing $2.46 million if they trade Dak Prescott, saving 34 if they do it after June 1st. So you're basically swapping contracts for players who are basically in the same tier, although in theory maybe you'd get less, the trade values maybe are similar, maybe get more for Dak. Like, you're basically trading the number 9 quarterback for the number 10 quarterback. And oh, by the way, Dak has a no trade clause. So hypotheticals are stupid because they are hypotheticals. So pick a QB. Now, this is a better discussion point because I think if you got actual NFL people to rank them, as like ESPN did on their actual content side for where things sit, I think Dak was 9, Stafford was 10. So probably should come in around 60-40, somewhere in that range. Pick a QB. DP for Dak Prescott, MS for Matthew Stafford. Go vote at the pinned comment of today's show. Some stuff that matters. How about injury updates here for the Dallas Cowboys? Donovan Wilson. Cowboys practiced at I think it was 8 a.m. this morning because it's hot in Texas. Who would have known? Donovan Wilson still not back out there, recovering from a calf injury. Let's check in early next week and see what the status is there, but we'll have to see. Jordan Lewis is back at practice. He's been out there off the PUP list after a really bad foot injury, by the way. The level of injury, Lewis said it was worse than Frank. Doctor said it was one of the worst ones they've ever seen. I'm a bit anxious there. Hopefully he's good to go. I doubt he plays week 1, but progress being made. Sam Williams dealing with turf toe, although it is considered minor, which is a good thing. Although it is turf toe, turf toe tends to linger. It's really annoying. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. So hopefully everything's fine for Sam Williams, who just needs to be on the field and not having any headlines off of it. So what is your concern level over the variety of Cowboys injuries right now? Scale it from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. Get those answers in for me in the comments section. We broke down the practice squad yesterday, knowing there were 2 spots open. We now know who they are. Alex Taylor, the offensive tackle, re-signing as well. And then the Cowboys went outside the organization for Willington Prevalon. And if you're going, that's a made-up name, I agree. It is not often that I go, who the hell is this guy? And that's what happened with Willington Prevalon, who I am convinced is some British, I don't know, what's their system of government over there? A British congressman or whatever. I don't know. I don't pay attention to British. America, yeah, enjoy your tea. It sucks. That is an East-West Shrine, makeup name from Key and Peele. It's a ridiculous name, but he's got good size, decent athletic juice, so I guess it makes some sense. The practice squad then is as follows. Malik Davis at running back, Tyron Johnson, Jalen Cropper, Princeton Fant, Sean McEwen are on that list from that perspective. Earl Bostic, Brock Hoffman, Sean Harlow, Alex Taylor, Darrell Johnson, among the other offensive line or the trench players. I didn't realize this when we built this. It's all trench guys in there. I did not know we were doing that when we built it. Maybe you did it on purpose, producer Chris. Good job there, my friend. Also on the practice squad for the Cowboys, Tyrus Wheat, Malik Jefferson, Josh Butler, C.J. Goodwin, and Sheldrick Redwine. So some extra depth coming in Alex Taylor and Willington Prevalon, a Madden-generated name to fill out some of those trench pieces there. Now, today's show is made possible by our sportsbook partner. That is BetUS. Head over to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Cowboys125 for a 125% deposit bonus. You can put down $100 minimum to get that deposit bonus, and they're going to give you an extra $125 for free. That way, if you bet on the Cowboys to cover the 3.5-point spread in Week 1 against the Giants, and they only win by 3, that's okay. You still have plenty of leftover money. If they do cover it, you made even more than what you already had. Go put some money down at BetUS, chatsports.com/bet, promo code Cowboys125. I also wanted to spend some time today on the 2021 draft class. Not done for any of these guys necessarily, but a lot of moves have happened, so we can break it down. You had Micah Parsons. That selection saves this draft class. That alone probably gives it a pretty good grade. But you've had a bust on Kelvin Joseph. You traded him away for another bust in Noah Ibenogany. Osodizu has been a good player for you. A solid third-round pick, hoping for a breakout year, but it's been worth your selection. Chauncey Golston kind of need a breakout here. Very quiet so far, more of a backup role player. Deshaun Wright has been hurt, and frankly, hasn't been that good either. So I hated that pick at the time, and I get to see enough to say it's going to change anytime soon. Jabril Cox has been cut. He is now on the Commanders practice squad. Cox out. Josh Ball has been hurt, and he's also been bad. That not been a great pick. Your expectations drop as you go. Simi Fehoko is now on the Steelers practice squad. He's been cut. 5th rounder, didn't do much for you. Quinton Bohanna at least gave you some snaps. A better pick than Fehoko and probably Ball and Cox have been so far. But he has also been released from that perspective. Israel Mukuamu has been by a massive margin your best day 3 draft pick, but he's kind of still a backup rotation piece. Matt Farniok now has been cut too. So in one offseason, you have moved on from 5 of your 11 draft picks from this class. So be honest with me. Grade the Cowboys draft class A for 2021. A, B, C, D, or F. People complain about, you can't grade until it's a few years in. We even have a sample size here. Micah alone, I think, should make this class a B or so, but it should have been an A if you've been able to nail 1 or 2 of your day 2 or day 3 draft picks beyond what you currently have. Finally, some jersey changes are in for the Cowboys. Deuce Vaughn, by the way, sticking with 42. Jaron Kearse will be wearing number 1. He also revealed he did try to switch to 0. And Jerry Jones said, no, I don't want anyone wearing 0. Classic Jerry. Maybe the Marvin Overshown will get it next year. He was 27. Noah Ibignagany is wearing 19. He was 9 for the Dolphins. That's taken by Kevontae Turpin. Marquise Bell is now 14. Flip the numbers from 41. Brandon Aubrey is now 17. He was also number 1, but he wasn't going to wear that in the season. They just didn't have enough numbers. Hunter Lipke is now wearing 40 as opposed to 44. If you missed the news earlier this morning, unfortunately, Cowboys Hall of Fame former executive Gil Brandt has passed away at the age of 91. He did make it to the Hall of Fame. He was with the Cowboys for a very long time, from basically bookended the Bob Lilly draft and the Troy Aikman draft, and that was kind of an incredible run there. So unfortunately, Gil Brandt passes away today. Of course, we have his family, friends, and all those connected to him in our thoughts and prayers. We have a super chat, by the way, from Mark. I also owe I'm feeling thirsty today, so hold on. Doesn't Dak have a no-trade clause? Duh. He does. He does have a no-trade clause, which I would say people tend to forget that. He also has basically a no-tag clause, so you better consider making a decision what you're going to do with Dak, because he had the Cowboys, and media can claim, Lance leverage. Not really. Not really. From Mark, $5. Your draft analysis was spot on. I've said this for years. We hit home runs, then a bunch of busts, many in round 2. We need better draft consistency. It's funny. If you compare their 4th-round picks to their 2nd-round picks, the 4th-rounders are better, which you shouldn't be doing. That a testament to how good they are in the 4th round, how bad they are in round 2. We call it the Blue Star Special. The guy with the medical, the guy with the injury, the guy with the attitude, the character, whatever, the boom or bust guy, they take that guy in round 2, and they bust a lot more often than they hit. If they can just dial in the 2nd round, they do draft better than most teams. I saw the stat this morning of players in the NFL. No player got their start more than with the Dallas Cowboys. They have 79 players in the NFL who began their career with the Cowboys. So that's testament to how they do draft very well, and there's still room for growth because they tend to miss things. From Lance Dunbar's burner account, Willington is nice. What about John David Booty? I'll do you one better if we can cheat and go to college players. Don't forget about General Booty, the Oklahoma quarterback, who I think they should start. Your name is General Booty. That guy's going to be a superstar. Just put him on the football field and watch what happens. They are related, by the way. I think that's like uncle and nephew or something like that. But John David Booty, great USC quarterback. with the Vikings, something like that. I think that's what it was. A brief NFL career, but an elite name as well. You guys are watching the Cowboys Report, made possible today by Manscaped. Remember, you can get 20% off and free shipping by using promo code Cowboys over at manscaped.com. We're about to go through my 2023 final schedule and record prediction for your Dallas Cowboys. Before we get to mine, which you'll know for certain at the end of what the actual results are, we'll go game by game, I want to hear from you guys in the comments section. Predict the Cowboys record for me in 2023 right now. We'll go game by game here. Week 1 at the New York Giants. Now, we'll do a full preview on this game early this upcoming week, but I think this will be a rather ugly, slow-starting, kind of sloppy game for both teams. Cowboys offense did not have any first-team reps, which I was okay with. I'll trade a half of not looking very good in exchange for making sure none of my key players got hurt. I do have the Cowboys winning, however, over the Giants 20-19. Dallas has not won a Week 1 matchup since 2019, which that was not intentional to make it a score, but that's kind of funny how that worked out there, which came against the Giants. Dallas has also not lost against the Giants with Dak at quarterback, at least starting the game, since 2016. So something has to give in Week 1. I also want you guys to predict the score of the Cowboys versus Giants Week 1 matchup. Head down to the comment section and let me know right now. Week 2, the New York Jets. It pains me dearly. It's Aaron Rodgers voodoo bullshit time. He'll find a way that the Cowboys will be up, 24-19, something like that, and Jets will get the ball back with 2 minutes left. The defense has played really well. The Jets will march down the field, and Rodgers will do it one more time to the Cowboys and make me curse his name once again. So I do have the Jets winning this game 25-24 in a last-second thriller that makes me very, very sad. Week 3 at the Cardinals. Now, Arizona is not going to have Kyler Murray. It will instead be Joshua Dobbs or Clayton Tune. I'm smelling a blowout. Give me the Cowboys to take down the Arizona Cardinals 30-6. It should be an easy win as long as they don't smell their own farts and get ahead of themselves too early. Week 4 against the New England Patriots. Now, Mac Jones will be the quarterback. They should be better. Hopefully a game that doesn't require overtime and a calf strain from Dak to win the football game. Give me Dallas in a bit of a lower scoring affair, 24-18. That would then have the Cowboys starting the year 3-1, just in time for a very difficult stretch early in the season for America's team. Week 5 at the San Francisco 49ers. In theory, it will still be Brock Purdy at quarterback. And the Niners, for whatever reason on defense, have your offenses and your quarterback's number. So give me the Niners to take down the Cowboys 2017. Although, we're not going to do playoff predictions, but just like last year when the Cowboys lost to the Bucs in the early in the season and came back and beat them in the postseason, exact same thing happens here. But regular season on the road, I might have flipped it if it were a home game. On the road, give me the 49ers over Dallas. Week 6 at the Chargers, a West Coast swing here. This is going to be the Kellen Moore revenge game as the Chargers take down the Dallas Cowboys 28-24, and the Cowboys drop to 3-3 entering their bye, as they would have played potentially, I would say, 4 playoff teams in their first 6 games. Chargers, Niners, Jets, and Giants were a playoff team last year, could easily be again this season. Then they get to the bye in Week 7, which, no matchups. It's an early bye. Hopefully the offense is doing well, and we're not discussing, should Brian Schottenheimer call plays or anything like that. Instead of that, breaking that down, let's say about today's sponsor, Manscaped. 20% off and free shipping when you use promo code Cowboys over at manscaped.com. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. The Lawnmower 4.0 is the best when it comes to men's grooming. It's got everything you need for downstairs. It's not an accident that Manscaped came along as a sponsor, and then a while later, baby Olivia's born. There's a correlation there. We can't prove causation, but we can't disprove it either. Manscaped.com, promo code Cowboys. The link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. We appreciate Manscaped sponsoring today's episode. Week 8 against the Rams. I've got the Cowboys benefiting from the bye, getting the win at home against L.A. In theory, Brett Maher will be your kicker for L.A. I'll say he misses at least one kick in that matchup. The Rams defense is bad. Their offense is good. Higher scoring game there. So week 9 against the Philadelphia Eagles. I have the Eagles losing on this front, or the Eagles winning on this front. On the road, that is a tough matchup. And I still think the Niners and Eagles are better teams than what the Cowboys are. Entering the year, stuff could certainly change. Eagles beat the Cowboys 28-27. The Cowboys are 4-4 after potentially playing as many as 4 or 5 playoff teams to begin the season. Then the Giants in week 10. And unlike the first matchup, the offense is going to look a little bit better. Give me the Cowboys to take down the New York Football Giants 27-23 at home. They get to an easier portion of their schedule in time to make that push for the division. So will the Cowboys win the NFC East? Y for yes, N for no. Go vote in the comments section right now. Week 11 at the Carolina Panthers. The Bryce Young game. Give me Dallas to go on the road, take down Carolina. I believe it's one of their few 1 p.m. matchups. They're all going to be the game of the week this year. Carolina, they're rebuilding. It'll take some time. Dallas should win that game easily. Week 12 against the Commanders. The Commanders' defense is very good. They have an offense that has pieces beyond the quarterback. And this might look really dumb when we get to week 12. Give me Dallas in a blowout. F the commies. Dallas blows them out 35-10. An easy win as the Cowboys getting hot when they need to be getting hot. Week 13. Oh, wait, I mentioned week 12 was your Thanksgiving Day game. Come on. Cowboys always win on Thanksgiving, right? At least against the Commanders when they're healthy. Week 13 against Seattle. They actually don't have great success, by the way. It's a kind of a joke. Seattle, this is a Thursday night football game. Cowboys win narrowly. I think they're better than just a 3-point win over Seattle, but this is your brutal stretch where you play a bunch of games in a short period of time. The body's tired. You'll make mistakes, but Dallas ekes out a narrow win in prime time over Seattle. Then a critical game, and maybe the most important game relative to the time of the year, or factoring that in more than like a week 5 match against the Niners, for the Cowboys and the entire NFC. I had the Cowboys losing 28-7 the first time. This time they win 28-7, which would then set up a rubber match in the playoffs, in theory, between the Cowboys and the Eagles. I don't think you're going to sweep Philadelphia this year. I don't think they'll sweep you. I think you'll split those games. As a reminder, we will be live for every single Cowboys game this year. We'll have our pregame show. We'll have our postgame show. They're going to be electric this year. Make sure you guys are tuned in. Do not miss out. Week 15, after 3 games at home, you then go on the road. That makes it challenging. Give me the Cowboys over the Buffalo Bills, or losing the Buffalo Bills, 24-21. Dallas comes up short. That's going to be a tough game. It's going to be cold. That's going to be a game where maybe the running games are more important than what they would normally be, which does always make things challenging from that perspective. So I do have the Cowboys coming up short against the Buffalo Bills, 24-21. The Week 15 schedule gets a little bit tough here with that game and at Week 16 against Miami. By the way, you don't have to go to Buffalo in the cold. You get to go to Miami in the winter, late in the year. Much better than early in the season when it's like a 20-degree difference on the sidelines because the Dolphins are shaded and the opposing team's in the sun there. Give me the Cowboys to win 27-20. You know, a couple of these games are kind of like, you're up big and the opposing team scores late to give you some potential backdoor covers, but I got Dallas taking down the Dolphins. And then against the Lions. This is going to be a Saturday night football game, by the way, 8:15 p.m. Eastern time, against a Lions team that actually has a really good offense, by the way. Give me the Cowboys oh so narrowly, 31-30. A backdoor score mixed in there from the Lions. Dallas takes down that game. And my guess, hopefully with the Cowboys having claimed the division already, is that Week 18 will not be an essential game for either team. Frankly, maybe it's even a Trey Lance showcase game if he's ready for it. Give me the Commanders in a game that does not matter for the Cowboys, to be clear, to take down Dallas, as the Cowboys will be sitting their backups. Commanders win. That's fine. Cowboys would have already clinched the division in theory. So my schedule prediction, a tough start to the year when the schedule's really challenging, and then the Cowboys get hot and they go 11-6. I think that's the over/under is 9.5, by the way, so I'm taking the over and a half by a game, or the over by a game and a half, I should say. This team should be good. Schedule's harder. Don't panic if the year starts a little bit slowly, but the Cowboys should once again be right where they've been the past decade. Quarterback's healthy, in the mix to finally get further in the postseason. All right, predict the Cowboys record for me in the comments section. I'll give some shout-outs here. I see 14-3, 13-4, 13-4, 11-6, 13-4, 17-0, 11-6, 13-4, 12-5, 14-3, 13-4, 12-6, 20-0, 13-4. Someone said you got the Cowboys defense allowing about 20 points per game. I don't see that. I mean, that's what they did last year. So, yes, I do see them giving up about 20 points per game last year, just like they did last year. 13-4, 12-5, 12-5, 14-3, 20-0. A lot of 14s and 13s. 11-6 seems reasonable. I mean, look, you'll probably win at least one game you should have lost, or like you would be expected to lose, like underdog upset, and one game you'll lose that you should find a way that you should have won. That's how it tends to go. But I think 11-6 is a. If I told you right now the Cowboys went 11-6, I think we would all say yes. Let's take that and go. And if you have to play in Week 18, then 12-5. That's fine. Super chat time from Marcus Arnold. Jeremy, have to start trading second pick for a first-round pick the following year and miss too often on second-rounders. I do that, or maybe what you should do is package your twos every other year and get back into the first round of that same draft, because they miss too often on the seconds. I agree. From Mark, if it's 2019, that's a loss for us. The Giants suck. You will never hear me say in a Cowboys win that they lost. That they lost. I'm not that way. It's week one. Your offense did not play together in the preseason. They're going to need some time to short out the rust a little bit there. The Giants coaching staff is great. The defense is actually pretty solid. I don't believe in Daniel Jones. They made the playoffs last year. They might regress, but I think the Commanders suck. The Cardinals suck. I don't think the Giants suck. Some more shout-outs here to predict the Cowboys' record in 2023. By the way, forgot to mention, mailbag coming up next. So if you haven't already, get your questions in using hashtag Cowboys or by super chatting. Some of the super chats we can go to, Chris, some of the ones that are questions and relevant. I'll let you make the call on those that have come in earlier. But any new ones that we get in, we will also go to. So, Ginger J, I see your question. It's a good one. But if you don't use hashtag Cowboys, producer Chris will not be able to pull it. The way that the graphic stuff work is we put basically a filter on the comments because there's so many. And hashtag Cowboys is reserved for questions. That way we can see them. So if you have Cowboys questions, please do me a favor and get them in using hashtag Cowboys in the comments section right now as we get set up for our famous mailbag here on the Cowboys Report. This Cowboys Report mailbag is made possible by Manscaped. You can get 20% off all of their men's grooming products for your face or your balls by using promo code Cowboys over at manscaped.com. We will do some super thanks to begin today's show. Andres Yabarvo says, guess Cox out has a different meaning now. The Cowboys always take my bits too literally, and now Cox is literally out of Dallas. With the Commander's practice squad. William White just says, thanks. Cheers to you, my friend. And TF Johnson says, thanks. Keep up the good work. Those were no comments there, just saying thanks. We appreciate that here. Anytime you do a super thanks on the Cowboys Report, we will give you a shout out, just like we do on Super Chats, but not everyone can watch live, so we'll make sure that we find a way to make that happen there. Manscaped.com. I don't know why I said that. That was dumb of me. You'll see, I just went full Ron Burgundy, like an idiot right there. Holy shit. Everyone type L in the comments section. Super Thanks is a feature here on YouTube. Allows you to customize a message, send it in, click the heart with a dollar sign in there, just like you would do for a super chat. We'll give you a shout out. We appreciate your support here on the Cowboys Report. All right, now I can go Ron Burgundy because there's things to read. I think we should have made a play for Isaiah Simmons, says Darnell Grant, if he was that cheap. I agree. You lose to Marvin Overshone. I would have gone nuts if they traded a 7th for Isaiah Simmons. I would bet if you asked the Cowboys, they would have said, we like Marquise Bell more. I don't know if that's the mindset I would have taken, but I think that's what they would have said. From Massive Matt, saw a stat saying Smith played the entire game at left tackle, only allowed 1 pressure. I think that was the PFF stats right there. I will say this about both Richards and TJ Bass, your rookie linemen. I thought they got better each game they were out there, and I was impressed with what they were able to do. They're better than Josh Ball. They were better than Matt Farniok, Brock Hoffman. I was impressed by what your 5th-round pick and what your UDFA did from that perspective. That's great. I am worried about really banking on 2 UDFAs or 2 rookies and a guy that did not play for you in the preseason as your only backup offensive lineman. That does scare me, given the fact that you know Tyron Smith will get hurt at some point. But hopefully, look, you have not hit on a non-premium draft pick on the offensive line in a long time. You did hit on a UDFA and Terrence Steele, but your draft picks have missed there. So I would hope that Richards can maybe break that trend. You're due for one, I guess. So what is your confidence level specifically in the backup offensive line? Most teams' confidence is low. Dallas should be no exception. Sound off with the pinned comment of today's video. If the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and scale it 1 to 10. Leroy Pearson Jr., a $5 super chat. If you could make a surprise move, be it trade or signing, what would it be? Insert offensive lineman here. I don't know who's available via the trade market. Maybe if, I don't know. Okay, I have one. I've looked at the money. This is off the cuff, so I don't know if the money works at all. If the Cardinals suck, can I trade for DJ Humphries and just 1 year replace Tyron Smith if and when he ends up going down? Off the cuff, I don't know if the money works or what. I know we got paid a little bit there. I would go with offensive linemen. From Mark, Luke will be another second Yahoo pick. Fish Ferguson's doing so well. We have no O-line depth. He was a reach. Should have been 100% a starter. You will be very disappointed if your second-round pick is only a number 2 solid rotational tight end in year 1. You would have hoped for more. I completely agree. From Mark, everyone here should give a $2 thank you super to Tom. You and your staff do a great job. Best show on TV. Keep it real. Miss Chugs, LOL. Go Cowboys. Thank you, Mark. I really do appreciate that. And everyone here who, even if you don't super chat, that's fine. I know not everyone can. But everyone who watches, you guys are the MVPs. From Lance Dunbar's burner, what about Ben Jones? Need a backup center, right? It's a great name. Ben Jones, the Titans needed a center too. They did not bring him back. You have to figure out, and I don't know what it is, but he is unsigned despite being good. There's bad O-line play. I don't know if he's healthy enough to play at this moment. Jay Smooth, I say Dallas's defense is better than last year. I don't see teams putting up no more than 17 points. I wish Dallas kept Isaiah Land. I do think the defense is a little bit better, and I wish they would have kept Isaiah Land too. But 17 points per game allowed, as I check my stats here, is like the best defense in the NFL, pretty much locked in, which they could easily be. But even the best defenses have off games. You know, maybe your punt returner fumbles a kick again and they score quickly there. You're also playing better quarterbacks than what you played last year. So the defense might be better. The overall results might not change that drastically. Gabrielle Peterson, why would you think that Dan Quinn's defense not dominate the Chargers' offense like it has been during practice every time Moore and Quinn had faced? Well, I think that the Chargers offense legitimately should be one of, if not the best offenses you face all year. They have Justin Herbert. They have a really solid offensive line, a ground game. Don't get me wrong. I am going to be cheering for Dan Quinn to kick Kellen Moore's ass, but I also don't think it's a locked and loaded outcome that the defense is never going to allow more than 20 points a game. They will have off days. That will happen. That's how football tends to be. Now, make sure you're not having an off night, if you know what I mean, by using Manscaped. Promo code COWBOYS over at manscaped.com gets you 20% off. Not just your balls, but your face as well. The Beard Hedger, the premium beard trimmer, the top in men's facial grooming. Get yours today, along with a bunch of goodies for their Beard Hedger Pro Kit, including everything you see on screen coming up right now. I'm actually a big fan of the beard brush because it tends to, like, I trim it not all the way down. I keep it a little bit loose, so it's good to like get it nice and like not smooth, but like evened out and like looking proper. I feel great. The beard conditioner also helps out too. Like a lot of people use conditioner for their hair, right? You should use it for your beard as well. Manscaped.com, promo code Cowboys. Links in the comments and the description. 20% off and free shipping. Adam Lancaster, what will be Deuce Vaughn's role? Being the greatest running back ever. I'm kidding. That's my bit on Twitter. What I do think he'll be is a package player who can probably not going to ask him to pass protect that much, although he's willing. He'll be a third down back. He'll catch some passes. He can get some carries too. I think if you're doing it right, you're finding ways to get Deuce Vaughn the ball every couple times each game. Maybe more if he continues to make big plays. So beyond Tony Pollard, who has more touches? RD for Rico Dowdle, DV for Deuce Vaughn, HL for Hunter Lipke. Pick a back to have more touches, the most touches I should say, behind Tony Pollard this upcoming season. From Mark, why keep Fowler over Isaiah Land? Fowler is older. In a year or two, I think Isaiah could surpass whatever you could get out of Fowler, and he's way cheaper. I don't disagree with this. You would have saved money. Maybe you could have traded Fowler somehow. The answer in the end, Dan Quinn wanted Dante Fowler. Fowler's here because Dan Quinn is here. Now, I don't love Fowler as a run stopper. I don't love Isaiah Land as a run stopper either. Fowler barely played for you against the 49ers. I would have taken the cheaper route, similar, I think, long-term impact because you have Dorrance Armstrong. Fowler's your fifth edge. Like, I would have done that, but I think in the end, Dan Quinn wanted Dante Fowler. Shmuley J, Darius Rush was getting so much hype. Why didn't we sign him? You didn't need an outside corner once you traded for Noah Igbinoghene. I wouldn't have minded picking him up there. I might have considered picking up Rush and cutting Eric Scott. Rush did not play that great in the preseason, frankly. He kind of struggled for a team that needed cornerback help in Indy. I think he was overhyped. Let me pull up my draft notes here real quick, if you don't mind me looking down at my screen. I had Darius Rush as he's top 70 player for me. I know there had been some second-round buzz, better than Cam Smith. I was never on board with that. I liked him. I would have cut Eric Scott to grab Darius Rush. Dallas went with the we like our guys mindset. Gangsta Big Chungus. What do you think Jimmy Johnson do to this team? What's the record? Do you mean prime Jimmy Johnson? They probably have a title already. Current Jimmy Johnson? That dude ain't coaching. So very different answers depending on what age you're looking for there. Gigante? That's how I'm going to pronounce it. I don't know. Obviously, don't say more than you're allowed to, but if I recall, the just traded video, you said, now that he's gone, I can say this. You talked about his ranking him on the staff. Do you have insider info? I mean, what I said in that video, that Kelvin Joseph last year was the lowest graded player on the Cowboys roster. Everyone memes the PFF grades. Teams grade out players as well. They'll assign grades for performances. I pronounced it correctly, by the way, too. Awesome. Joseph was graded the lowest of anyone. That's why when they were in such dire straits of finding a cornerback too, they didn't go back to Boss Man Fat. From Daryl, would you add Cade York? York is on the Titans practice squad, I think. He's on a practice squad. I forget which one. No, not really. Now, what you should do is this. Let Brandon Aubrey try for a few games. If it's bad, then you can move on. Then you can move on and find somebody else to try because you've not committed to Brandon Aubrey. But everyone swore Cade York's the next great kicker. Didn't even last a season and a half in Cleveland. Just pointing it out there. So the big debate. Are kickers people? Y for yes, N for no. Y for yes, N for no. I joke mostly, but they are not people. Don't invest in them very heavily. Lance Dunbar's burner account. Do you know, Producer Chris? Do you know? Say those names. Got him. And no. He doesn't. He doesn't. Oh, he got it. He got it. What's the? What's the? And then what's the other one? Yeah, there you go. He doesn't know. Now he knows. Good job there, Lance. I, of course, knew what you were doing. Producer Chris, it took him a little bit on the pat one there. That is a good one. I appreciate that, my friend. Taha Ahmed, teach me, please, what makes Micah a better pass rusher than Garrett or Bosa? Had this argument the other day, prime Dak or prime Stafford? Ooh. I know it's funny. I think that the peaks of both Dak and Stafford, pretty similar, right? But both guys have shown flashes of top 5 quarterback play, but haven't always been consistent from that perspective. The skill set is better for Stafford. He has the stronger arm, can do more things overall with that arm talent there. I think Dak's better in a pre-snap area there. As for what makes Micah a better passer than Garrett or Bosa, I think what you're doing there is you're taking the 3 best pass rushers or 3 of the 4 best pass rushers in the NFL and saying, okay, pick which one's better. I don't know if you have a better one there. They have different strengths and weaknesses. The biggest argument for Micah is we have not seen the best yet of Micah Parsons. He's only been in the league for 2 years. He kind of won early on with not a massive array of pass rush moves, just by being this awesome athlete and just blowing by everybody. I think the athleticism is what makes Micah perhaps the best young defensive player in the entire, best young player even, if we don't include Mahomes, in the entire NFL. Ginger J, would you pick up Austin Watkins or Robbie Chosen? If so, who would you drop for them? My answer is no. Watkins on the practice squad for the Browns, he has to be an active roster player for you. I'm going to keep Jalen Brooks to be my special teams receiver 6. Robbie Chosen wasn't doing anything in Miami, so I would just let that one kind of ride out. Steven Gonzalez, is there a possibility of Trey playing? This is an example. Injury, God forbid, #Cowboys. You named it. Injury. Now, maybe they try to get creative at some point if they like what they see from Lance of red zone work, maybe, although Dak's been really good in the red zone, even without as much usage of his running ability. So injury, I think, is how he gets on the field. Brandon Clark, trade for Patrick Queen. I don't think the Cowboys want to trade for an off-ball linebacker, though it's a need, that would be as expensive in a trade and or contract as Patrick Queen is. So if the Ravens are bad, maybe that makes some more sense as a rental, but I think they're going to be pretty good, and Queen will probably help them a little bit. Name a player you want to trade for. Any player, any position. Keep it realistic. I would do a lot of bad things to get Patrick Mahomes on this football team. It ain't gonna happen. I do a lot of bad things to get a Joe Burrow, a Trevor Lawrence, those elite quarterbacks. It's just not gonna happen there. So realistic names only, please. Mark, there was an undrafted linebacker ton of sacks in college. You released something about that. That's Isaiah Land. Isaiah Land was hyped up. Unfortunately for Dallas, he was claimed off of waivers by the Indianapolis Colts, which was a pretty big disappointment that Dallas was unable to sneak him through to the practice squad. This one from TKG, then the last two super chats that have come in. I think the Trey Lance trade will affect Dak. Doesn't really affect Dak, especially not short term. Dak's going to be the good older brother. I'll use that phrase for Trey Lance. You got to make a decision on Dak sooner than later, so it shouldn't impact him very much. From Mark, never thought Micah would have been that good. Even the Cowboys didn't think Micah was going to be that good. They would not have traded down if they had known that. All is well. Chances we get Deion Jones? I think low. I know there's the obvious ties to him from within the organization with Dan Quinn, but couldn't make the Panthers roster. Should raise some red flags. From Leroy Pearson Jr., are there any right or left guards you consider the 2024 draft be a good fit right now, starter or depth piece? I'm not that far away, or I'm not close enough to know. Zach Zinter from Michigan, Cooper Beebe from Kansas State, two guys I've seen early on. We'll have to wait and see what it all looks out, but hopefully you can find somebody, yeah. All right, the Raiders report, folks, is currently live as Mitchell Renz is getting a Raiders-themed tattoo. So I want you guys to go comment on that stream. I'll put the link, by the way, in the comment section for you guys to go comment. Go type in F-Chugs. They're doing a Madden streams too. Let me get a sip of water here. Hold on. Go comment F-Chugs. Or maybe Chugs is playing Madden. I'm not really sure what's going on here. Well, but it looks like Chugs is playing. It looks like he has the controller in his lap right now. So go comment F Chugs over there. Micah Parsons fan says F Chugs, which is funny, dude. They are definitely Chugs is definitely playing because people are still being mean to him. Raiders Broncos. If you comment F Chugs on that stream, I'll give you some shout outs there. A Micah Parsons fan did it. I also appreciate Z said official. Never going to watch another team's chat sports live no matter what. I respect it. Only subscribers can comment. That's fine. Just subscribe and then unsubscribe. But it's not a big deal. Shmuley J just comment F Chugs. Lance Dunbar's burner just commented F Chugs. What is he doing? He just he's going to the depth chart. He's benching somebody. What is he doing here? Oh, it's because Hunter Renfro's this is weird. I don't know what he's doing there. Caustic Collins says F Chugs. Smooly J. Richard Lee. Whiskey Weenies Wednesday podcast. I love that. Shmooly J is in there. People are begging Chugs to give. Yeah, Chugs is definitely playing, by the way. Chugs just called up the old Madden play of drop 40 yards back and run slants and throw it over the middle. Cheesing it. Shmuley J says F Chugs. This is kind of entertaining there. Jeff C. Caustic Colin. Yeah, it was for everyone. It was for everyone in terms of Joseph being the lowest graded guy, including Ball. Ball graded out well as a run blocker, not as a pass blocker. Let's see. I'll give it one more play here for Chugs as he just ran into his own lineman like an idiot. All right, I appreciate that, guys. I had some fun doing it there. All right, Alex Villegas, a $2 super chat. Who is our Tyron Smith insurance? Awesome Richards? You don't have good insurance. Hopefully Awesome Richards plays great and we feel good about it, but I am anxious from that perspective in terms of where things sit. Now, I do want to make note of some stuff that has happened here, because we're gonna talk free agents, but there have been some roster moves that just went down that kind of actually do impact this. Tyree Phillips has been released from the Giants practice squad. Matt Corral did get claimed off of waivers, by the way. He got claimed by the Patriots, which I find pretty interesting there. Dolphins signed a bunch of guys to their practice squad. I'm making sure there's anybody of note that we're going to talk about here in a minute. Nick Bowers, Darren Evans, Jason Hines, we knew that. Rashard Lawrence, okay, Chase Winovich, okay, we're fine. A super chat though has come in here as well from Mark again. A super chat, $2. What's dumb, he says, is we have a ton of money and no offensive line depth. You could do it. I would guess that you would be able to, they would say, well, we don't like anybody, which might be true, or maybe they want too much money, which might be true, but I just, you lose Tyron Smith, when he goes down, hopefully it's a short-term injury, it's going to happen, we're all going to be concerned. So I think we have to keep that in mind more. Today's show, we are taking a look at the top free agent options for the Dallas Cowboys following the initial wave and second wave even of 53-man roster cuts. Just discussing some top guys the Cowboys could stud, or maybe even after week one when they're no longer guaranteed their salaries for the entire season. Before we get to my list, a bunch of names we'll consider. I want to hear from you guys. Name a free agent who you want to sign. Any player, any position. Practice squads are included, by the way. So sound off for me in the comment section with the player or players you want to go get. All right, some names to monitor here. First up, how about Deion Jones? This one is pretty obvious from that perspective. The ties to Dan Quinn have been there. I don't know how well Quinn and Jones get along these days. His numbers have dipped. He did not play much last year for the Browns. He did not make the Panthers roster as a linebacker. That should raise some red flags in terms of what he has left. But you're thin at linebacker, so we have a lot of linebackers on this list. Kyle Van Noy, next up here. It fits a similar mold of these guys are available in September for a reason. They just might not be that good anymore. Van Noy is kind of a hybrid edge rusher linebacker. Fun fit. I think could do some nice things with Dan Quinn. He'd be the top of my list. God forbid, knock on wood, you lost Micah Parsons. Hopefully that, of course, does not happen. Rashaan Evans, next up here, the former Falcon, no Dan Quinn overlap, mostly with the Titans. Big tackle numbers last year. Why is that? Well, using only tackles to eval a player is normally a bad idea because you want to know how the tackles are happening. Where are they happening? Are they happening because you're just not out there? Or you're out there downfield getting beaten coverage? Are you making plays line of scrimmage? Evans had a bunch of tackles, so everyone evaluated him, and they came away with he's unsigned. He wasn't very good in coverage. I think your top two needs now for the Dallas Cowboys are offensive line and linebacker. Which need do you think is biggest? OL or LB? Sound off for me in the comments section. Anthony Barr is next up, the reunion. Now, Barr's taken some visits, the Saints, the Giants among them, and so far has not found a home that would make sense for him, and everyone's passed on him, and I don't think he has that much left in the tank. I thought we saw obvious signs of decline from what we saw last year, and it was very weird because it went from Barr's going to sign with the Saints, and then was going to visit the Giants, and then didn't visit the Giants, and it's been kind of a weird status, and apparently money wasn't the issue for Barr. Was it a physical maybe? I don't really know what's going on there with Anthony Barr, but I think he'd be near my bottom of linebacker options. Interesting name here is Nicholas Morrow, who's been linked to Dallas the last two free agencies as a backup option, but they've always re-signed Leighton Vander Esch. So I did want to make note of him. He's a little bit younger than most of these guys. If you felt the need for another linebacker, which I don't think this team does, they're going to play Marquise Bell, and Jaron Kearse basically is a linebacker. I'd consider it, but I think they're going to look in a different direction. Now, we have a special deal for you guys here. Deuce Vaughn jerseys are available at chatsports.com/Deuce Vaughn. Now, these are basically the custom jerseys, so if the numbering on the font looks a little weird, it'll be right on the actual one. It'll be the proper style. They have the drop-down menu when you click that link to pick Deuce Vaughn, but it's not like a specialized jersey. So he's not changing numbers. Get yours today, chatsports.com/Deuce Vaughn. Jason Peters, the offense lineman. You knew he was going to be on here, guys, didn't you? This one was a no-brainer. I don't love the offensive line depth. Now, I think you would have to give him time to get into shape fully, which I think is maybe a reason why he's unsigned. So a lot of these vets might be a practice squad to start and then sign to your active roster since you have some flexibility there. But I think Peters' reunion would be a nice thing for Dallas. I'd feel better about the offensive line depth, even though he's old. He's like, 95 in people age relative to offensive lineman age, but he still played pretty well last year at least. So would you bring back Jason Peters? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off for me in the comments section. Would you bring back Jason Peters to help fill out this Cowboys offensive line depth? Dalton Reisner is next up on our list. And as we've mentioned before, there is somebody who there's something just not right here. Like, why is he unsigned? He wasn't as good last year, but he's been good in the past. He's been a good football player. Now, maybe it's a money thing, which I think would make some sense, but also like, dude, it's September. You're not going to get the money you want. Time to lower your asking costs. That's the case. Maybe it was the regression in play. I've heard some of that, but the Denver offense sucked. It wasn't all his fault. The team was bad. Maybe it was the shoving on the sidelines. I don't know. It was a bad year, I know, but like he's at worst a sixth offensive lineman in the league that does not have those guys. Like I would go out and get them. All right, Ben Jones, the center. I'd have interest here. Yeah, something's up. You don't have a backup center, by the way. That's a big red flag for me. I don't know if the Cowboys have the answers as to why Ben Jones is unsigned. I think medicals are a factor here, to be clear. But if he's healthy, better than what you have at center right now, behind Tyler Biadasz at least. All right, Billy Price. Here's the issue. He's a center option, so I mentioned him. Here's the thing with Billy Price. He sucks. He's not good. I made the joke years ago that Connor Williams, people acted like he played like Billy Price did. Price has been bad. It's a center option, but it's not a pretty one. All right, first practice squad player here is Jalen Mayfield, a former early round pick by the Atlanta Falcons. I wanted to mention him. Guard, tackle, flex. He's been bad. Jalen Mayfield's production in terms of what he's been at the NFL level, to put it in perspective, I would say there are some similarities between Josh Ball. Jalen Mayfield's a pretty darn good run blocker, a massive liability as a pass protector. Not great. You can fix him, but he's on the practice squad, so you'd have to send him to the active roster, by the way. Denzel Mims. Oh, you guys knew he was going to be on here, didn't you? Waived injured from the Dolphins, then released from injured reserve, or from the Lions, after they gave up technically nothing to trade for him. Mims has never gotten a great chance in New York. Practice squad once healthy? Sure. Active roster? There's a reason why I was not upset. Tight end O.J. Howard is a somewhat intriguing name as a former first-round pick, but he might just be bad, honestly. Greedy Williams was cut by the Eagles earlier in August, which I found interesting as other players beat him out, excuse me. Notable name, I know many of you wanted to fuse with. This is kind of like, this grouping is the dudes you've heard of that you might have wanted 2 years ago, but maybe now it's not a great grouping, and maybe there was a reason why they ended up being available. If you guys want more Cowboys news and rumors, like say if they sign somebody, then make sure you are subscribed. YouTube.com/Cowboys TV. Free Cowboys videos every single day right here on the channel. YouTube.com/Cowboys TV. Tyree Phillips, in between when we started the live show today and when we got to this part, the Giants had actually released Tyree Phillips from the practice squad. So he actually is a free agent now. He is no longer a member of the Giants organization. So as a practice squad piece, I'd actually be very interested. The next 4 names are on active rosters. You would have to sign them to, or on practice squads, to sign to the 53. On practice squads, got to go to the 53. Sam Mustipher as a center was bad in Chicago, but again, it's offensive line play. There are not many good options. Very intrigued by Michael Dunn. My suspicion is that this is going to be a game day call-up for the Cleveland Browns, and he won't really be available and or want to leave the practice squad, but I actually think he's pretty good. They carried 3 centers if you include Luke Weipler, so I'd at least call Dunn and say, hey, do you want to come be on our roster? Who knows? Austin Ryder, another center. Again, you have on your team right now as your center options. It's Tyler Biadasz. You're apparently going to cross-train TJ Bass. He had 1 snap in camp at center, and it was a bad one. And they said, okay, focus on guard. Now they're going to try him at center again. Brock Hoffman, who I didn't think played that well, and Sean Harlow, who's played but isn't that great, so a mention there. And then Christian Kirksey, who's on the Bills practice squad for a reason, because he was hyped as, this is the first, like, he got cut, he's good, we should sign him. Well, he's not that good. He's actually kind of mediocre. Not what he was at his peak. Kind of decline there, but I would, if you lose a linebacker, he should probably be on your list in some capacity. All right, the pinned poll question of the day: will the Dallas Cowboys win the NFC East? Y for yes, N for no. Go vote for me. Where else but in the comments section? We got some super chats we'll get to here as well. Let me get a sip of water. Y for yes, N for no. Heavy yeses, which I appreciate here. Alex Villegas, $10. Thank you, Alex. Let's reunite Bosa and Trey Lance. It's funny. I like it. The Niners are not. I think the Niners would rather just have Bosa on their roster, never playing him, and dealing with that drama, or losing him for nothing, than giving him to Dallas. They would not do that. I would do it. Here are all my firsts. Bosa and Parsons, my God. You can take Sam Williams, Dorn, take whoever you want at edge. Let's go with Bosa and Micah. That's just not going to happen, though, unfortunately. Leroy Pearson Jr. Did I miss the renaming of the rumor chart? You have not. You actually reminded me I have to do that, by the way. So we will come up with a new one. I'll put it on the community maybe this weekend. Come up with some ideas in terms of what we should name it and put it to a final vote before the season gets going. So thank you for reminding me of that, Leroy. I appreciate that. All right, pin poll. 88% say yes, the Dallas Cowboys will win the NFC East. Keep the comments coming. I see Costa Collins, Steven, TJ Thompson. Jimmy Rogers says yes. So no surprise there. It's yeses. I think that's the correct answer, by the way. It'd be a little weird, I think, if it wasn't. Remember, folks, we will have live shows Mondays and Thursdays is the base schedule. When they play Monday Night Football, we'll have a live show on Tuesday. If they play Thursday Night Football, we'll have a live show on Friday the next day. So we'll just kind of treat it, day after a game and Thursday before a game, we'll have a live show for you. So make sure you are subscribed. youtube.com/@CowboysTV. That is it for today's show. We will see you guys tomorrow.